Hi, everybody. I thought it was a really good time to come together. So, thank you for joining the Firehorse activation, as I'm calling it. And there's so many things going on energetically right now that I thought it was just an important time for everybody to come together as a community to just talk about what's going on energetically and kind of relate to what each other is going through. It's interesting that this time everything feels so personal, but it's also there's so much going on collectively that we're all experiencing together. And that is really true. And there's just a lot that we're going on that's going on with each of us individually through our own shedding process over the last year. And then all of the new energies coming in that we're stepping into. And within all of that, we all have our own personal stories of all of it. And it's a really cool way that we can relate to each other. So, welcome. And I have been doing body work and massage, energy work for a long time, but I've been really over the last year going through a lot of deep transformational things in my life, and I have been feeling called to offer more of a community to others around me. And it was interesting when I was going through a lot of things last year, when I started sharing about it, it was really scary for me to open up and be vulnerable. But at the same time, I knew that it was really important for me to share my story and speak my truth just for me. And when I started doing that, people started reaching out to me and messaging me and thanking me for sharing my story and, my insights or whatever I was going through because they felt like they were not so alone in what they were going through. So there's a lot of strength in community. And that's one of the things that I have felt out at the ranch, having yoga classes and bringing people together for sound healings and stuff, is it's just really cool to bring people together and to be able to relate because it makes us feel not so crazy sometimes. I think sometimes we get in our own bubbles and we feel a little bit crazy or like we're alone or we become really hard on ourselves and we're not allowing ourselves to have that experience and forgive ourselves and just understand that we're all going through some crazy things. I'm going to be talking about the energies coming in with the fire horse, the year of the fire horse, and a little bit about astrology. I am not an astrology expert, but I like to dabble in it for sure, and I follow it pretty regularly. And everything that's coming up is just so pertinent to what's going on right now. So I'll be going into a little bit about moving into the year of the fire horse, and then also what we are experiencing astrologically at this time, which makes it kind of like triple whammy potent energy for new beginnings. And it's very exciting stuff. It's not really about understanding why your life may feel like it's dissolving and accelerating at the same time, but it's how to work with it instead of against it. So, um, last year, as we know, was the year of the snake. I think many of us felt a lot of shedding, a lot of deep transformation. It was about not just shedding old situations or things that weren't serving us, like small mundane things, but it was really about shedding old identities that we were holding on to. And um, maybe we came out of that year feeling like a completely different person. I know that I do. The person that I was this time last year is not the person that I am right now at all. Of course, I'm from the same, it's the same soul, but I was really forced to look at a lot of deep patterns and, karmic relationships and things that have been coming up for me over and over again over years. And it was really just brought to the surface and shown to me like, no, this time you have to look at it and you have to let go of the things that are really holding you back. So, it was very personal to me and it was pretty intense. I think a lot of people went through relationships ending, jobs ending, maybe just like things that they were really relating to before or enjoying in their lives weren't things that they were enjoying anymore. Maybe friendship circles changed, or maybe there were just things that you were holding on to for too long that needed to be really let go of. And if we were clinging on to them longer than we needed to, they've just been coming to the surface. And they're still coming to the surface. We're still we're still letting them go. There were a lot of old roles that we play being let go of too. For me personally, I am a caretaker and I am a president of the People Pleaser Club. And I know that a lot of the people in this meeting right now are also that kind of person. And I've spent a lot of my life just trying to make other people happy and trying to smooth things over. And especially in close relationships with friends or in relationship with partners, being the one that takes on all of the work, where I feel like I need to just keep the peace and put all the pieces together and make sure that the other person is happy. And in the past, I have also found myself falling in love with people's potential, and not just in romantic relationships, but also with friends where I can see, wow, this person has so much to offer and they can be so great and look at what they could do and I could just help them get there. Like I know I can help them get there. And I have lost myself in trying to dive in and fix or save or just help these people get to the next level. Mm. And it has been a pattern. So when it hasn't been addressed or looked at in one face, it has resurfaced through another face in my life. And when I've looked back at those relationships that I have let go of, where I was the one holding everything together or seeing their potential and trying to help them, I was able to see from the outside when it ended that there wasn't really anything that I was getting from that friendship in return or that relationship in return. In fact, it was draining me and keeping me small and keeping me in a place where I wasn't really allowed to be myself or shine authentically because I was too busy tiptoeing around who they were or what their reactions might be or how I might be judged or perceived. So it all became about me just in this codependent cycle of trying to help somebody else or fix them. I don't know if any of you can relate, but I'm sure that some of you can. I know some of you can. Um, yeah, there's a lot of themes of things that we used to tolerate now being unbearable. So when I have made it through those times and decided to walk away from those relationships or anything and maybe cut myself off from social circles, I've been able to see that, wow, I used to spend a lot of my time in situations and events or surrounding myself with things that right now, as who I am now, I can't even see how that would be fun for me anymore. It actually sounds like a horrible idea. So it's just been a really amazing time to look at where we've been, and it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with where we've been. It was all absolutely perfect because it led us to the place that we are now. And we had to go through all of that to evolve into the next level of who we are. And it's all important. And it doesn't mean that we're weak, and it doesn't mean that we did anything wrong. It was just everything was there for the lessons. But I don't know if anybody got hit with double whammy lessons of the same patterns, but I think that through the last year, a lot of the shedding was deep patterns that we've held on to. Um, the snake wasn't really polite about asking us to change to change. It basically made it unavoidable. It made it all come to the surface. So it's been a wild year. And I actually have been waiting for February of this year for about like 8 or 9 months because I was reading ahead of time to energetically where things were going and astrologically. And I was like, oh my God, if I can make it till February, everything will be fine. And it is, of course, it's fine. We're all here, we're all alive, we're all breathing. And I feel like we're all in this place gathering together today because we are all collectively feeling the excitement of this and we want to know what's next. We want to know how to move forward. So, like I said, last year I went through a large transformation. I went through a divorce. I think a lot of you know that. And it was an unexpected divorce. So I was kind of like had the rug pulled out from under me when I wasn't expecting it. And it needed to be in that way abrupt to me for me to be shown what I was allowing myself to tolerate. I never would have, well, I can't say never. I probably wouldn't have gotten out of it just on my own. But who knows? As the year went on, maybe I would have. So the fact that it was abrupt really forced me to one, accept it right away, and two, dive into my own healing where I really took the time to look at what I was doing in the relationship and what I was tolerating, and then look in a broader view of my whole life. What was I tolerating for years, and where have I been holding back my real potential, and why? And for me, a lot of my lessons come from fear of being seen or fear of judgment. So I hold back my truth because I'm afraid of being judged or persecuted because it's scary to be who we are when we are people pleasers and we don't want to upset anybody. So it's been personal for me. Um, I am a body worker and a healer. So genuinely, I care about people's well-being. So it's also built in with empathy for others. I feel compassion for others. So I don't want them to suffer. And I certainly don't want others to suffer because of me. So being able to be the type of person that can start to create boundaries without worrying about hurting other people has been also a big step for me. And talking to a lot of you all and a lot of my clients, I know a lot of you are working on creating boundaries for yourself, and you also don't want to hurt other people. But the issue with that is when we are living our lives in a way that we're trying to not hurt others, we are actually robbing the world of our own light. And the world needs us, especially people like us who actually care and love others. And so, if we want the world to be the best place it can be, the only way to show up is by being our 100% true and authentic selves. So, in addition to being a healer and a body worker for the last 26 years, I have been feeling the call to help others start to live more authentically by creating community and also um, just starting to build workshops and lessons and insights that I can offer where we can communicate and I can help you and you can help me. Because I can't tell you how helpful it was to have so many people reach out to me and say, like, wow, I went through something like that and this helped me. And then they would offer me a story or offer me what they went through or ask me a question. And it would allow me to just expand on it and think and come up with more things. So I really think in this gathering and in this learning together, it's only going to help expand all of us. So that is really my true wish. In addition to being a healer, I am also a horse trainer and I built a horse circus. So that has always been a huge part of my life, performing and working with horses. And it has always been two separate entities of Gladius and the work that I do with horses, and then my healing and massage business. And then, like, over here was like the social Alethea that did all these other things. And at this convergence of my life and where we're going, I think, with all these energies, is everything is really just starting to come together as one thing. So now everything is all encompassing. So I'm allowing myself to really bring the horses into the healing work and let the social life be that community and meld it all together. And it's a beautiful thing. Um, yeah. So all the relationships and all of the maybe the patterns we were forced to look at, I think if I could attach one theme to them, it would be what was keeping you small? What was holding you back from living your truth? In what ways were you suppressing yourself? Um, what was brought up to the surface that you were being forced to really examine within yourself? Um, that was the main thing holding you back from living your best life. So, Tuesday, which is tomorrow, we are entering the year of the fire horse, which everybody has heard about. I think that I was built for the fire horse. My logo for my show is a fire horse. There's no greater portal for being in the fire horse energy than the Gladius Ranch, so here we are. And the interesting thing about the year of the fire horse is it comes with a new moon and solar eclipse. Solar eclipse cannot happen without a new moon. And solar eclipses can bring life-altering or sudden events. And normally with a solar eclipse, it is what is being brought to the light. It's not so much really about what is falling away, it's what's being brought to the light or being illuminated. So it's kind of an amazing portal that we're going into tomorrow with the Fire Horse year starting and the solar eclipse new moon. The fire horse really isn't asking us permission for anything. It's moving when truth becomes undeniable. So that's the beautiful thing about it coming right after the year of the snake. Um, it's allowing your true north to have a megaphone. And I read that the other day and I loved it because it really isn't, there really is no better platform for starting to create the next level of your life. It's being set up in the stars and energetically for us to say, okay, this is the 0 point. Where do we want to go from here and make it whatever we want? That's why the energy that we choose to stay in through this time period is so important because we are setting the stage for the next 3 years of our life. Well, Saturn is in Aries, but we're setting the stage for the rest of our life. So this is like an axis. It's a turning point for what we choose to do. Um, Numerologically, 2026 is a 1 year. So we're ending a 9 year cycle and we're starting with new beginnings. Um, Also adds to the reset point. It's the beginning of a new identity cycle and it's very blank slate energy. Who we're becoming now will shape the next decade for us. So as we move through all of the next numbers, this is like the starting point. Um, One of the most interesting astrological things that has been fascinating me about this time is that there is a Saturn and Neptune conjunction, which happens a lot, but this time it's happening at 0 degrees Aries. And 0 degrees Aries is the beginning of the zodiac. So it's the very starting point. And there has never been this astrology in the time that we've been alive or recorded history. They're estimating that it probably did happen before, but it was in like the 500s BC when this last happened. So it's a 0 point and it's the beginning of everything. The builder, which is Saturn, Saturn is the planet of karma and it's the planet of foundations, is meeting the dissolver, which is Neptune, and that's all about mysticism, dream, imagination, and dissolution. It wants to end the old systems, so collectively it's very big. So we'll find a lot of old systems ending and new things coming in that are built on imagination and dreaming and far out there kind of things. Not just within society, but we're talking about internally here today. Um, it's the time that dreams can become real and old realities dissolve into the mist. It's times when vision becomes, there's times when, these are times when vision becomes form and when creative vision is disciplined enough to incarnate. It can also erode structures that we unconsciously rely on. Things that once seemed solid don't feel solid anymore. And that could be tied to comfort. What were you comfortable with before, but it wasn't serving you? Old ways of being, maybe we'll throw the example in there of a relationship that's not a good relationship, but you're in the relationship because it's comfortable. Are you staying there just because it is comfortable? And maybe this axis point is showing us that it's time to move out of our comfort zone to do what's best for us, to fulfill our wildest dreams, to go into what our heart desires. What are we connected to energetically? What are we connected to with our soul? Where does our soul want to go? And what needs to break down for us to go that direction? How we use this energy is very important. Who are we becoming while our old worlds are dissolving? What is the vision that we're holding? And the vision that we're holding is the most important thing to define right now, which is why I'm having this chat with everybody. The real message in the Saturn and Neptune conjunction at 0 degrees Aries is reality and dreams are reorganizing, and it is blank slate energy. Structures that were never aligned are dissolving. Dreams that were never acted on are asking to become real. Most important question, who are you becoming while your old identity dissolves? It's a very changing question too, because we're in a place where we are defining that. So I think right now there's a lot of good things we can ask ourselves every day, like who do I want to be? I think I talk to a lot of people all the time, like my clients that don't maybe don't have a big dream or a goal or something they've been working on that's fixed for a long amount of time and they're like obviously I want a horse show on the strip. Maybe they're just living their lives but they're not totally satisfied and they're finding disharmony in their lives and they're stressed or they're anxious, and I usually tell people to start really small, like micro slice your life. And if you want to know what to do, how to live authentically or live your most aligned life, start checking in with your body. Start saying, like, what feels good in the moment. Like, maybe it feels good to sit down and take a 5 minute break. Maybe it feels good to get up and take a walk. Maybe it feels good to put on this song that you've been singing in your head all day. And take those tiny little things and just start doing them and add them up over time, and it will allow you to start really paying attention to what that gut feeling is like so you can live more in the flow of being your authentic self. Um, there's some reflections that I have, and I'm going to try my handy dandy screen sharing. We're going to see if it works. I'm going to email these to you guys um, after so you can see them. Can you see them? You good? Okay. Okay, so I came up with these reflection prompts, which are not necessary to do all of them, but they are good questions to ask yourself at this time. Where in your life do you feel the clearest pull forward and the strongest instinct to hold back at the same time? Explore how you want to move forward, expanding your career while feeling scared or stuck in old energies or imposter syndrome. So usually it's the same thing, right? Where you're feeling like you want to go forward in this direction and at the same time you have the strongest instinct to hold back. Like for me, for instance, I really want to go forward in doing online, guided work and community building. And my strongest instinct is telling me I'm not good enough to do that yet. I don't have everything together enough to do that. And it's showing me that that's the area that I need to expand on. Where have you convinced yourself to be realistic instead of honest? Maybe staying in an old relationship, like I said before, for comfort or safety. Um, Maybe you want to go travel the world and you're telling yourself, I don't have enough money for that. Maybe we tell ourselves stories to keep ourselves to we tell ourselves stories so we have a reason that we aren't able to do things. And it happens all the time. I think we're all guilty of this. So it's really good to examine where we've convinced ourselves to be realistic instead of honest. Because if we're going to make decisions from our head, our brain can tell us a million ways why something shouldn't work. And if we're going to step forward moving from our heart, that has a totally different reaction. What part of you feels like it's waiting for full permission? Not preparation or certainty. You know that you want something, but it's waiting for a decision to actually do it. So maybe you've been preparing for something forever and you know that you want to do it, but you haven't actually made the executive decision to start. I think a big part of what holds people back is not taking action on the action steps, which are the downloads we're getting from the universe of like, I know I need to do that, but I'm not going to do this because I haven't made the decision to start. It's like me starting to have classes online. I know I want to do it, but like when am I gonna make the decision to make a date on it? Where are you still dimming your true feelings, light, or self to make others more comfortable? What would change if you stopped apologizing for being yourself or worrying about how others perceive it? Would there be changes in your life? Would you be freer because you could not have anything holding you back? You could just be yourself. It's important to examine where those places are. Um, for me, there's certain things in my life I have withheld from people because I have fear of hurting other people and what it would feel like for me to not care about that or drop that is it would give me a freeing feeling. So that's a really good thing to write about and take note of. What do you know in your body that you haven't acted on? It's what keeps returning. What thing keeps coming back to you? Have you not ridden horses in 20 years and the only thing you can think about is horses? They just keep popping into your head and you're like, I have to work with horses. If there's something that keeps coming back into you that's truth, it's important to listen to what it is. What would you do if you trusted that your life isn't fragile? If you trusted yourself to fully respond to whatever unfolds, what would you allow yourself to begin? If there was no fear, basically, is what that question is asking. If you weren't if you weren't worried about hurting yourself or hurting others or, ending your job, what would you do if you just trusted that everything would work out for you? That's more of a way to frame it. Where are you feeling over controlling in the timing of your life instead of participating in the flow? And that question comes a lot to do with letting go of the outcome of how you think things should be. If we're trying to micromanage or control or wait till everything is perfect to start something, we aren't, we are attaching to the way that it needs to turn out. But if we're just diving in out of this feels good and I know that I want to do this and not having any idea of how it's going to turn out, so we're allowing ourselves to live in the ebb and flow of the non-linear way that it's going to go, maybe things will work out for us. If you approach your life right now with the same openness you had as a child, before you were taught disappointment and caution, what would you give yourself to permission to pursue? And that is a really fun question. A lot of us were taught disappointment and caution from a very early age and had things drilled into us. Just had this conversation, like whether it was strict parents or religion or just, a family that you were born into that didn't quite have the same ideals that you do. And we get conditioned to things. And if we could drop all of that and the things that we were conditioned to believe, what would be the possibilities for us? Final question. What is the one thing I'm ready to stop postponing? Maybe there's 5 things. Um, I listened to a podcast not too long ago with Mel Robbins, and she had this amazing lady on with her who was the CEO of $3 billion companies. She was incredible. She was from London. Her name was Emma something. I can't remember. Green? Yeah, I thought it was Green. But she was incredible, and that podcast is awesome. And if you want to get motivated, you should listen to that one. I think Mel Robbins named it like the only podcast you listen to. If you only listen to one podcast, listen to this one. But she said one of the biggest things to being successful in your life is to take responsibility for yourself. And a lot of people get drawn into these victim cycles or victim mentality where they feel like things have happened to them and they can't do certain things because of what they have gone through. And some people have been dealt a really bad hand, and some people have had to go through some really hard things. But the truth is, we are all responsible for our own lives, nobody else. So if there is anything happening in your life or any way that your life is going right now that you are unhappy with or not feeling good about it, it's good to reflect on what that resentment is about and why you have it, because we can have any kind of life we want depending on the decisions we make. We just have to learn how to take responsibility for our own lives. So what is the one thing I'm ready to stop postponing? And maybe why? These questions are just designed to be revisited over time. They're not needed to be answered, but I'll send you guys the PDF. Start where you feel the most energy or resistance. It's often where the deepest truth lives. Notice what your body feels as you read each question. Sometimes the answer comes as a sensation before words. And then return to them regularly because they're probably going to change. Reflection without action keeps you circling. Choose one insight and take a small step forward. And that's what I was saying about action steps. So I'll share those with you. Um, One thing about taking action steps is there are a lot of downloads that come in from the universe. So these are things that occur to us, and they usually feel exciting or maybe scary, but it's like, oh my God, like, what if I could do that? Or maybe it's something that keeps coming in. And I've laughed about this with friends too, because, I feel like these nuggets from the universe get sprinkled in collectively. So a lot of people are getting these, and those downloads are coming in because they need to be on planet Earth. What the information that is coming in from the cosmos is something that needs to be brought here. And it's coming to you because you are capable of bringing it to planet Earth. But maybe somebody else jumps on it, and then 10 years down the road, some dude is like, oh, I invented Uber. But I didn't act on it, so somebody else made millions of dollars. So getting these little insights in, I think it's really important to take note of them and then start taking the action steps. And if you're scared to start taking action steps, my advice is do it anyway. That's what I'm doing today. And it's worked out pretty well for me in many other things. But it's all a process and we're learning along the way. And, we're all here for each other and none of it really matters anyway because we're all just floating around on a giant rock. After all of the shedding and the new energy coming in, it's just an incredible time to really hone in on where we want to go with our lives. And if you don't know where you want to go, but you know that you've been through deep transformation and you've been letting things go. For instance, I just purged my entire shed of a lot of things I was holding on to for years. I have no idea what a lot of the next steps are in my life, but I know that physically and energetically, I am making room for things to come in. So if you're still feeling overwhelmed moving into this time, a really good bit of advice is to clear your space. And if you feel like your space is clear physically, another good thing to do is to clear your space energetically, especially as you empaths. So maybe doing some kind of like daily cord cutting ritual, or even just in the way of setting the intention to consciously before bed or when you get up, but usually before bed, um, saying all of the energy that I'm surrounding myself with is my own. It's emanating from me. Anything from anybody else, place, or thing, I release and cut away from my energy field, even if it's as simple as that. Keeping our space clear energetically and physically is creating that vacuum for the new things to come in, even when we don't know what they are. I love that everybody is on the same page with getting downloads and feeling the excitement of the new year. Um, I'm super, super excited about it. I'll be posting a lot of social media videos and stuff talking about it too, but obviously there's plenty floating around. But just know that going into this week, especially tomorrow with the new moon and the fire horse energy, reflect on those questions and really ask yourself, what feels exciting to me? This is not, we went through like the most intense time over the last year, the most intense time. And this is time to celebrate. This is time to really focus on like what we want. And there is no limit to what we can do. There's no limit to who we can be. And my goal to have community is to keep reminding each other of that, remind each other that we have no limits. You can have whatever you want, you can be whatever you want, and the energy that you choose to live in right now is very important. Super quick, I will just say that I've caught myself going through periods of my life, even, now, where I am living in a certain energy and I'll catch it. And the first time it ever happened to me when I learned the big lesson about how to live in certain energies was the time in my life where we were trying to come up with the money to feed our horses when we moved to Vegas. And I was working all the time and I was telling people at work, we have all these horses and it's so hard and it's so expensive and it takes so much to feed them. And I was just hustling and we always were making it happen, but I was just like always saying how hard it was. And then a lot happened after that. We had investors invest in the show and everything came crashing down and we started back at ground zero. And I was shown that that whole time I had been living in an energy of never having enough. And that is what the universe responded to me with, was never quite having enough. There was always lack in it. And once I shifted that, I never had to worry about hay money for them again or how it was going to happen. It just happened. And it was because I let go of that belief. And now, most recently, in a negative way, I've caught myself maybe living in the feeling of there's not enough time in the day to get everything done. Um, and I've been shown like, yeah, if you are really feeling like you don't have enough time every day to get everything done, you're never going to have enough time to get everything done. So I've had to stop myself, take deep breaths, relax, and be like, there's actually plenty of time to get things done. In fact, it's even important to rest and allow myself time to rest because we're actually getting more done resting sometimes than we are just hustling from minute to minute to minute. So, um, time doesn't even exist. It's all fake. I have a retreat coming up at the end of March called Mirror of the Soul, and it is something I'm doing once a year. It's very intimate. There's only 10 spots available. There's less than that now. There's about six. And it's a 2-day journey with me and my Gladius partner, Alina. And we are doing basically energetic horse connection, learning how to be in the presence of a horse and connect to their energy field, connect to their heart space, connect to them mentally, how to approach them, touch them, be around them. And on top of that, we're incorporating yoga, meditation, breath work, and equine embodiment work, which is a modality I developed fusing together yoga and equestrian vaulting. So you basically learn yoga and breathing flows on horseback in a very safe way. And it teaches you how to actually physically be in their energy field and just become a good passenger, as my riding mentors would say, without having to worry about the stress of riding and being in their mouths. There's also going to be a lot of liberty work with Alina. So it's learning how to be with the horse free and to move around and use body language to connect with them and how to move with them. And it's primarily all relating to how horses mirror your world because horses are mirrors. So they have shown me so much about who I am and about the world and about my own healing and what energy I'm sitting in, and everything is reflected straight from them in the immediate present moment. And they are just amazing teachers. And it's been something that I have really wanted to share with people for so long. And I will share this in online spaces too, but the retreat is going to be very, physical one-on-one kind of stuff. So that's March 28th and 29th at the Gladius Ranch. And there's information on the thirdeyesanctuary.com website. There's also a free download that I have that's another PDF that I will email you guys with this one called Awaken, and it is um, kind of the start to looking at your life and seeing where you have energy leaks and how you can start to come back to your own energy. So I'll make sure you guys get those. And if you have any other questions, you can email me. And I think that is all. So this week, please think about who you want to be, what you're stepping into, and don't think of it in a way that anything cerebral can stop you or anything mentally can stop you. We are reflecting this just through heart space and where we want to be. So without barriers, go back to the reflections and it'll help you kind of remember those things and enjoy your new moon and moving into this fire horse year. And we can party and celebrate tonight with coffee that we made it through the year of the snake. Cheers, everybody. Thank you for coming. I will send you all of the materials after by email. If you don't get them, just message me. I love you all.